Hi everyone, I'm going to talk about a few examples of the harmful effects of money laundering. It is estimated that the amount of money that is laundered globally is anywhere from 500 billion to over $1 trillion every year. And with that amount of cash moving illegally around the globe, you can imagine how that can have some serious economic effects in some different areas. Globally, money laundered tends to affect developing economies the most. They're often targeted by criminals for their lax banking regulations, which makes it easier to anonymously hide money. An example of how harmful this can be is the collapse of some of the banks in the Baltic countries in the 1990s. Rumors started swirling around that there were really large sums of dirty money in these banks, which made a lot of the legitimate customers nervous. In case an investigation started and they lost their money. So they ran to the banks and withdrew their deposits for fear of losing them, which caused the banks to collapse. I have a political cartoon here that shows the connection between drugs, terrorism, and money laundering and how banks can play a role. HSBC is a bank based in London that was involved in some Senate hearings for severe deficiencies in some of its anti-money laundering practices. So in case you can't read it, the laundry here at the top reads drug cartels, Iran, and Libya, and it's going through the HSBC laundering machine. On a local scale, money laundering can be harmful for a few reasons. First, criminals often launder money in such a way that they avoid paying taxes on it, meaning other individual taxpayers and businesses ultimately have to make up that lost tax revenue. Secondly, the second harmful effect involves front companies, which are cash heavy and they have a legitimate underlying business, such as like a casino or a nightclub, but their primary purpose is to be used to launder money. So infusing large amounts of cash, of illegal cash, into these front companies means that they can end up charging much lower prices for their goods and services because they're not relying on the sale of goods and services to make money. They're relying on the laundered money. And so then other legitimate small local businesses can't compete with them. Next, we'll talk about some of the social effects that money laundering can have. I have another photo here showing the connection between drug trafficking, terrorism, both of which often rely on some form of money laundering to accomplish. These are some of the more social effects of money laundering, some examples. Since money laundering is vital in many types of criminal activity, such as terrorism and drug trafficking and occupational fraud, political corruption, and it can be highly lucrative, the success of money laundering schemes encourages more of these activities to take place. Money laundering connected with embezzlement or other occupational fraud can result in lost jobs and pensions when the corporation finally collapses after the fraud has been discovered. It can stretch law enforcement resources really thin, and as I noted earlier with the small businesses not being able to compete, it can lower morale as these legitimate business owners see others making impossibly high profits. So those are just some of the social and economic negative effects that money laundering can have globally and on a local scale.